Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, when you think German food, maybe it's efficient, right? Beer, maybe a quick sausage at a market. But we started looking into bratwurst, and wow, it's not just fast food. We found this 700-year history, a real masterpiece. It tells a whole story about, well, survival, regional stuff, real skill.
It really does. It's way more than just a snack. It's a symbol, isn't it, of German pride, tradition. It's all documented. So our goal today really is to dig into the sources you found. We want to unpack that history, the cultural side, and all those different regional takes that make it so iconic.
Okay, let's jump right in with the name because, if you speak a bit of German, bratwurst, you hear brat and you think fried sausage. Simple.
Yeah, that's what most people think. It makes sense in modern German, definitely. But historically, not quite right. It actually hides the original point of the sausage. If you go way back, Old High German, the word comes from Brett, that meant finely chopped meat, like the stuff inside. And then that just means sausage.
Huh. Brat. Finely chopped meat. Okay, so if it wasn't originally about frying, why did that meaning stick? I mean, why do we all think fried now? Did the cooking change over time?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly it. Think about how things change. Preservation methods got better, cities grew, the whole focus shifted. It went from slow curing, smoking for storage, that was the old way, to cooking it fast for markets, right? People needed food quickly. So frying, grilling, that became how most people saw it being cooked.
Yeah.
And that cemented the modern idea of bratwurst as something you roast fast. But it started with preservation.
Right. Preservation first. Material, not method. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, let's stick with that preservation idea and go back, way back, because this stuff is old. You mentioned the oldest recipe we know of is from 1432 in Nuremberg, Bavaria.
That 1432 date, it's super important. And it tells us more than just, they made sausage then.
The fact it was written down in Nuremberg suggests rules, oversight. Nuremberg was huge back then, a major trade city. And the butchers' guilds there, they were powerful. They set the standards, quality, weight, everything. So this wasn't just some note scribbled down. It was like proof of a standard product in a big commercial place.
And linking back to necessity, this wasn't just about tasty food. It was survival, right? Before refrigerators, bratwurst came about because people had to use everything from the animal before it went bad.
Exactly. In medieval times, meat spoiled fast. Salt. Expensive. So butchers had to be smart, get the most flavor, made it last as long as possible. And that's where the ingredients come in. Finely ground pork, maybe some veal or beef mixed in. And crucially, fat. They needed fat.
Okay, fat. How important was that? Just for taste, or is it more?
Cultural.
Oh, it was absolutely critical. We think fat equals juicy now, right? Yeah. But back then, it was also about preservation. You needed that right amount, maybe 25, 30%. It held the seasonings, gave the sausage the right feel for the casing, and it stopped it drying out during curing or smoking. Really vital.
And the seasonings you mentioned, salt, pepper, garlic, and that classic marjoram and nutmeg combo, that says something about the time too, doesn't it?
It really does. It's fascinating. Okay, so nutmeg, pepper, those were imported and expensive spices, shows status trade. But marjoram, that grew locally, easy to get, really fragrant. And that flavor, that specific green, slightly floral note, that's what makes German bratwurst taste, German bratwurst, but it's different from other sausages in Europe. It sort of became the signature quality. You knew it was made right, regionally correct.
Okay, so they had the recipe, the guilds making sure it was good quality, and then because it's Germany, every region just had to make their own perfect version, right?
Yeah.
Leading to all this regional pride, different styles.
Exactly. That's where the real artistry comes in. These variations aren't random. They're like little historical flags for each place. Let's talk about the big three. We start back in Nuremberg, the Nürnberger Bratwurst. What's the first thing you noticed?
They're tiny. Really small and thin compared to others. Why so small? Was there a rule?
Seems like it was partly about efficiency, partly tradition. One idea is the small size made them super quick to grill. Right there in the market, the sources say, they have to be, 7 to 9 centimeters long, max 25 grams, tiny. And that specific size led to that great local tradition, dry im Wegla.
Oh yeah, 3 in a bun.
3 of those little guys tucked into a crispy roll. Perfect street food, right? Fast, easy to eat. Like a 3-bite meal.
Sounds amazing. Okay, now head north a bit. You get the Thüringer Bratwurst. Bigger, spicier, and it's all about the grill.
Thuringia, they tend to use a bit more spice, maybe some caraway, extra garlic. But the real secret is the roast, the grill. Traditionally, it has to be grilled over charcoal often beech or oak hardwood. That gives it this very specific kind of sharp, smoky taste. That's the Thüringer signature. They really set the standard for how to grill a sausage properly.
Okay, and then there's the one with that really unique detail I found fascinating, the Coburger Bratwurst. Coarser meat, right? But the cooking.
Yes. Coburg stands out for two things. One, the meat mix, minimum 30% pork belly, which gives it that coarser texture you mentioned, a different bite. And two, the fuel. Historically, and they still do it.
Oh,
They cook them over dried pine cones.
pine cones? Seriously, that must smell incredible.
It does. It gives this amazing, delicate, smoky flavor. It's slightly resinous. You can't get that from normal wood. It's like you're tasting the forest, the actual region,
Yeah.
the Coburg landscape right there in the sausage. It just shows how local stuff really shaped the food.
Wow. So looking at the bigger picture, the cultural side, bratwurst wasn't just waiting around to become important. It was like the original street food way before that was even a trend.
Absolutely. It fed people at markets, fairs, travelers, workers. Fast, protein-rich. But today, yeah, it's way more than that. It's a proper national icon. It really captures that idea of something simple but perfected. Perfected over generations of skill. You see it everywhere. Festivals, beer gardens, family barbecues.
And it's not just us saying it's culturally important. You mentioned it got some major official recognition.
That's right. Huge recognition, actually. UNESCO. They recognized the Thuringian Bratwurst culture as intangible cultural heritage. And the important word there is culture, not just the sausage itself. It's about the knowledge, the way the community makes it, sticking to the old recipes, how the butchers pass down the skills. That UNESCO title, it basically says this sausage is fundamental to German identity, German heritage. It's not just food, it's a living legacy. It's still evolving.
A living legacy, recognized by UNESCO. That's amazing for a sausage. It really elevates it, doesn't it? Makes you think. Okay, so we've gone through the history, the culture. Let's get practical. If you're listening and thinking, okay, I want to try making something authentic, our sources had some real expert tips, right? To get closer to that 700 years of mastery at home.
Yeah, these are the little things that make a big difference. The difference between just grilling a sausage and crafting, well, a proper bratwurst.
Okay, tip 1, ingredients. We talked fat, but specifics. What kind of pork, what kind of fat?
Right. You want good quality pork shoulder.
Yeah.
In the U.S., that's often called Boston butt. And crucially, you need firm back fat. It has to be cold, really cold, almost frozen when you grind it. And never use the soft belly fat for the grind.
Why so cold? What does that do?
It stops the fat smearing. If the fat gets warm and soft when you grind it, it sort of melts out later, the texture goes wrong. Keeping it super cold keeps the fat particles distinct. That gives you that slightly coarse, authentic bite and stops it being crumbly when you cook it.
Got it. Cold fat. Then seasoning. We mentioned marjoram is key.
Non-negotiable. Has to have marjoram for that German taste. But don't stop there. Little pro tip. Slightly toast your nutmeg and black pepper before you grind them and mix them in. Just a gentle toast in a dry pan. It wakes up the aromas, makes the flavor deeper, more complex. You get that nice background warmth.
Ooh, toasting spices. Nice touch. Okay, tip 3 was about texture. Don't overgrind it. Not a smooth paste.
Exactly. If you have a grinder at home, use the coarse plate. You want to actually see little pieces of lean meat and fat. If you process it too much, it generates heat, smears that fat we talked about, ruins the texture and how the sausage holds together. Coarse is key.
Makes sense. Now cooking, the big one. Low and slow. Sounds simple, but how do you actually do that? How do you get the crispy skin without drying it out, or worse, splitting it?
Yeah, low and slow isn't just about turning the heat down. It's about control. First rule, never, ever put a raw bratwurst straight over a roaring flame. That's how they burst. A really good trick, something pros do. Poach them first, just briefly, like 5 minutes in water that's just simmering, not boiling, that gently cooks the inside, gets it evenly heated, makes the casing a bit more flexible.
Ah, poaching first, okay.
Then you move it to the grill. Medium heat and ideally indirect heat, so not right over the coals or flames. Let it gently brown and crisp up. You're aiming for an internal temp of around, say, 155 Fahrenheit, 68 Celsius.
Poaching. That's the secret weapon against split sausages. Good tip. And finally, the last step seems easy but hard. Patience. Let it rest.
Yes, so important. Just like you rest a steak. Take it off the grill, let it sit for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before you cut into it. All the juices inside got pushed around during cooking. Resting lets them settle back down, redistribute through the meat if you cut it straight away. All that flavor and moisture just runs out onto the plate. You get a dry sausage. After all that effort, give it those couple minutes. It's worth it.
700 years of history deserves 2 minutes of patience. I like that. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've gone from, medieval necessity, preserving meat, through centuries of these guilds, regional variations, incredible craftsmanship,
Right.
right up to today, where it's this globally known, culturally important food, a real taste of German heritage.
It really is. It just goes to show us that even everyday food can have this incredibly deep, complex history and technique behind it.
What a fascinating deep dive. Okay, here's a final thought for you to take away. Thinking about this idea of legacy, of mastery. If something like a bratwurst seems simple, right? Just a sausage turns out to be the 700-year-old legacy, refined by generations, even recognized by UNESCO. What common everyday dish from your own culture might be hiding a similar story? You know, a history that's just as deep, just as complex, maybe unappreciated. Think about it. What's the UNESCO-worthy food hiding in plain sight in your kitchen? Start asking those questions. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.